back with this fuel pump controller again. That's the fuel pump, that's what it looks like inside, the fuel pump controller. That's the part number for the Range Rover Aston Martin part. The FOMO code means that it's made by Ford, but also Continental. Not sure what that means. Maybe it's a Ford company product manufactured by Continental. This one is the Jaguar part. You can see the part number is the same at the end, only those first four are different. And inside, here's a sacrificial one, it's the same MOSFET driver, it's the same diode, it's the same microcontroller. There's no difference whatsoever. This one's sacrificial. Let's have a look inside. And inside there are some chunky high quality capacitors, some very chunky inductors. Everything is heat paste into, including the inductors, all heat pasted into this nice heatsink. So, where we left it last time was I had the Teensy microcontroller, Teensy 3.2, with a pulse width modulation output going into a transistor to step up the voltage to, I think, maximum about 9 volts, but obviously in a car it would be 12, but 9's good enough. A little voltage divider to get an analog input into there. Is that the analog input? No, that's the analog input there, so that we can instruct the pulse width to change to find out what pulse widths result in this microcontroller instructing between 0 and 100% pulse width on the output that goes to this bulb. Right now we are on, let's count the divisions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions off, so 50% duty cycle, and it's running 1.77 amps. Obviously it's designed to run much more current than that. It's been sitting there for quite a long time. Let's see what the temperature is. And 25 degrees on the MOSFET driver, 25 on the diode, 27 on the microcontroller. It's the microcontroller that's getting hotter than anything else, and 25 on that little protection capacitor. There are some little fellas in there, 26, it's little transistors and Zener diodes in there. But essentially it's not got any trouble running 1.2 amps as you expect. It's designed for 20. And if we now use this to dial down, let's see if we can get the pulse width as well as that in the shot at the same time. We're going to dial down the pulse width, and as you can see the pulse is getting shorter and shorter and the light is getting dimmer and dimmer until off, which does indeed happen at basically 0 pulse width. So it looks to me like we're going to go past 50 and let it switch off. There we go, back to 50 and it switches on. I think that demonstrates that if you put in 100 Hertz between 0 and 50% duty cycle, it outputs 29 kilohertz at between 0 and 100. So that's our 50% duty cycle. Past 50 it turns off, and 0 it turns off. On, off, off, off. On, off, off, off. Sorted. So I've got to put this back together with a proper gauge of wire for 20 amps, though the pump isn't going to draw 20 amps probably. And here is the plug from NZEFI that I can crimp the connectors on and then put it in the car and see if I can blow it up. This sacrificial job, somehow I put, well, I tested it to destruction. There is a protection capacitor there, or some sort of capacitor. I guess it's maybe smoothing or something. Basically, it's between power and ground. I didn't like 30 volts and 5 amps. Kind of gave up the ghost and let the smoke out. But it's interesting to be able to then take it apart and have a look inside. To be able to take it apart, it is destructive. So the only way you find out how one of them works. The other controller that I tried this with was this one. Don't buy one of them unless you've got. Can't get it open. Inside there's drivers for a brushless motor. It's from a newer Porsche. I think this one is from a 911 Turbo, 991 911 Turbo, and that has a brushless motor, which requires 3-phase, whereas these guys either of that one or that one. I think there is a software revision in between the two, but essentially either of those two will happily drive a 20 amp brush motor. Both from 500 plus horsepower cars, the Jaguar supercharged XKR, that kind of thing, X150 I think they call that platform. The supercharged same engine in Range Rover and Aston Martin V12, all 500 horsepower. So the fuel pumps need to move enough fuel to support that much power. So it should be good enough for up to 500 horsepower.